Coming to you live from the corner of Mississippi and fake Texas comes the hashtag Brothers of Baseball.
I love baseball.
Donny and Willie Epting.
I see you two all the time, thick as thieves you are.
We welcome you to this edition of the hashtag Brothers of Baseball here on the official broadcast station of the Dallas Charge Pro Fast Pitch Softball on the Big Game Christian Sports Network. This edition of the hashtag Brothers of Baseball is being brought to you by PureFlix. Enjoy faith and family movies, TV shows, and educational programs anytime, anywhere for only $7.99 per month. Sign up for your 30-day free trial by going to bgcsports.net on the BGC Sports app and click on the PureFlix banner and start your free trial today. Welcome into the hashtag Brothers of Baseball show. I am Donny Epting, and my big brother, my fellow brother of baseball, is with me. We're ready to deliver another episode. Willie Epting Jr., let's get to you, man. How's it going?
Hey, man, I'm doing fantastic, man. Good to be with you on another episode of the hashtag Brothers of Baseball. Let's get this going, man.
All right, man, and we thank everyone for their support and for listening to our great show. We strive to do our best to deliver the best to you. With all that being said, the national anthem has been played. The ceremonial first pitch has been thrown out. Umpire says, play ball. Hashtag rally caps. Man, Willie, did you happen to see what Max Scherzer did this past Wednesday night to his former teammates, the Detroit Tigers?
I did, man. I did.
20 strikeouts. Can you say Major League Baseball record tying performance by Max Scherzer? Man, you know what? That was as dominating, but also as kind of quirky performance that we've seen from Scherzer. I mean, yeah, he struck out 20, but I mean, he gave up a home run in the top of the ninth where it almost looked like Dusty Baker was going to pull him out the game. But he rallied together. He struck out Justin Upton, who leads the majors in strikeouts, by the way, and this just in, Justin Upton just struck out again. But no, Max Scherzer, man, he showed he still got the stuff. He didn't have the best of seasons last year, but 20 strikeouts, that's something to definitely talk about. Willie, let's get your thoughts in on Mr. Scherzer's 20K performance.
Well, how about that, man? He's only one of four other people to do that, or actually 4 other times that it's happened. Of course, one was done twice by Mr. Roger Clemens. We also have Randy Johnson, and we also have Kerry Wood, who was a dominating pitcher before the injuries caught up with him. You know, Scherzer, he was interviewed after the game, and he said, yeah, 20 strikeouts is very sexy. I gave him a couple runs there, but yeah, 20 strikeouts, very sexy. And I would like to tend to agree with him. It is a very, very high accomplishing feat. You know, that's something you just don't hardly ever see, 20 strikeouts. But what was most impressive about that, Donnie, is the fact that he only threw 119 pitches. So very efficient in his work. 96 of them were for strikes.
Crazy.
Yeah, that's absolutely crazy. So, you know, he gave up the 2 solo shots, and he did run his record to 4-2. So hats off to him. He's already got a Cy Young Award to his credit. So now this feat right here puts him in rare air.
You know, I was tweeting during the 9th inning. Of course, that is on our sister show, or our brother show, I guess you call it, and our Twitter account at ITC Sports Show. But I tweeted out during the 9th inning where Scherzer struck out Miguel Cabrera, and man, he was throwing filthy junk. And I tweeted, he made Miguel Cabrera look like a double-A hitter.
And that's very hard to do.
Right, against a Triple Crown winner, an MVP in his own right.
Yeah, I just wanted to say real quick, it would have been kind of weird for you to say our sister show when we're the hashtag Brothers of Blog, but
right.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I know, right? I kind of messed over that one a little bit.
That's all right, man. I'm here to pick you up, man.
Well, that's why you're my brother today.
Right.
But a dominating performance nonetheless. You'll see Scherzer's cleats and glove and other stuff probably go up to the Hall of Fame up in Cooperstown. You mentioned the other 20K performances. Randy Johnson's, if I'm not mistaken, his was in an extra inning effort. So his isn't really recognized as, one of the 20K, I guess, regulation type performances. But 20Ks is 20Ks.
I was just about to say that.
I don't care if it takes you 7 innings, 10 innings, or 15 innings to get 20 strikeouts.
Right.
Well, 15 might be a little much, but anyway. I think the game Randy Johnson pitched in, I want to say that was in 10 innings of work, which still isn't bad. You striking out 2 dudes per inning,
Yeah, 20 strikeouts is 20 strikeouts.
Yeah. Or just like John Madden used to say, Brett Favre is Brett Favre.
Yeah, I want to pose a question to you.
Go ahead.
What would you prefer to see in person? A perfect game or a 20K, a 20 strikeout game?
Perfect game. A perfect game. That's easy for me. Look, 27 up, 27 down. It don't get any better than that, man. But I think I'd rather see an inside the park home run out of anything.
Yeah, and that reminds me of something that I would like to see in person too, which would be a hitter hitting for the cycle. That would be awesome.
Yeah, that's another very rare accomplished feat. As many games as Major League Baseball plays, and as many guys that play it. I mean, to get a single, double, triple home run all in the same game. I mean, heck, you have dudes, man, who go 0 for 3, 0 for 4 consistently. Mm-hmm. And to be able to get 4 hits in the same game, much less 4 different types of hits. That's something hard to do.
So let's rank them real quick. I know we're probably running short on time, but let's rank them real quick. A perfect game, hit for the cycle, or triple play?
1, 2, 3 in the order you just gave.
Okay. Well, all right then. That settles that.
All right. Let's keep it in the nation's capital. And Max Scherzer's teammate, guy on the same pitching rotation, Stephen Strasburg. Ladies and gentlemen, he has broken the bank. Willie, give the contract details that Mr. Strasburg just cashed in on.
Well, it's an extension, 7-year, $175 million extension. Who is Strasburg's agent?
That would be one Scott Boras. And Robinson Cano, you are not coming with me. Sorry, JC.
Right, exactly. He is the agent that GMs do not want to deal with for this particular reason. But this contract is not all it really cracked up to be. Strasburg has the option to opt out after either the 3rd or the 4th year. Mm-hmm. So the likelihood of him seeing the end of this contract, I think, is pretty slim. Even though a guy of his stature, and he's been on the disabled list 7 times in the last 7 years. Of course, he had the Tommy John surgery, which I don't really think is a big deal anymore as I shouldn't say a big deal. It's not as big a deal as it once was because of the technology and what those guys are able to do. Pitchers actually have come back stronger after having that surgery.
John Smoltz.
Exactly. So, he's 27 years old, I believe. He was a highly touted prospect coming out in 2009, I believe it was. This gives him the opportunity to cash out, which could very well be in his prime at the age of either 31 or 32.
What was the times on the disabled list? How many times?
7 times in 7 years.
Since he's gone through the minors and all that, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, a lot of people might say this is a lot of money for a guy who is not the, I guess you could say, most reliable. He's not the sturdiest or the most well built of pitchers. But when Strasburg is on, he's on. You know, he's a flamethrower, just like a lot of these other guys, man, like the Arrietas and the Kershaws of the world. But like you mentioned with Scott Boras, yeah, the GMs are, man, they steer clear of that guy. Like, oh, you a Scott Boras guy? Okay.
Isn't he one they call the devil?
I don't know about that, man.
Oh, well, I apologize. It's not you, but I remember hearing that somewhere before. So, anyway.
El Diablo.
Yeah.
All right. So, we'll, hey, those guys in Washington, Gio Gonzalez, Scherzer, Strasburg, that's quite the pitching rotation in our nation's capital. All right, Willie, let's go ahead and move over to the review of the game or series that kind of caught our eye within the past week. What do you have, man?
Go ahead and sound the alarm.
Homer.
But it is in not any way positive. This time it is not in the favor of my beloved Oakland A's. So Oakland goes to Fenway and gets swept.
Sweet.
Hey, they had me thinking. I don't know the English language anymore after seeing what I saw. So as I broke this series down, they did get swept, like I said, in Fenway. But here's the kicker: 14, 13, and 13. That equals 40. As in 40 runs surrendered to the Red Sox in the 3-game set. Now, here we go again. I got some more numbers for you. 3 2/3, 2 2/3, and 2 2/3. Sonny Gray, Sean Manaea, Eric Surkamp. In that order. Y'all gave up a total of 19 earned runs in a 3-game set in less than...
What about 7 innings? About 7.5, 8
7.5 innings, yes.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Those are your those were the starters in those 3 games, right?
They did not get out of the 3rd inning.
Wow.
You know, that's the kind of beating that you get when your mama tells you, I'm going to whip you so hard, you're going to remember this forever.
Yeah.
This is what that was.
Sounds personal.
Yeah, well, the mama part is, and, you know, my A's. Go ahead and sound the alarm again.
Homer.
Unbelievable.
All right. Let's give it up for the San Diego Padres. Give them a round of applause. They went to Chicago this week and took 2 of 3 from the Chicago Cubs. The Padres did lose the first game 8-7. They rallied in game 2 of that set, erased a 4-2 deficit. They scored 5 runs in the 7th and 8th innings. In the 3rd game, San Diego was able to take that with a 1-0 decision and gave John Lackey his 2nd loss of the year. So the San Diego Padres went to the second city and gave Chicago, handed them a series loss, which has been rare for the Cubs. I mean, since they won, 40 of their first 41 games or something astronomical.
I don't think it's quite that high.
Okay, I digress. All right, Willie, we got about 90 seconds left. Let's go ahead and get our favorite stat from any of the players from this past week. Who do you have?
Well, I after going through the Boston-Oakland series, I didn't want to really designate one player, if that's okay.
All right.
After I broke this thing down, you know, the Boston Red Sox, after they finished that series with the A's, they had scored in double figures in 4 straight games, and they during that time, they hit as a team 397. They chased Astros ace Dallas Keuchel 6 runs. I'm sorry, after 6 innings, they got him for 8 runs, all earned. So, yeah, 397 over a 4-game stretch in which they scored double figures. It's safe to say that they're locked in, or they were locked in during that time.
Yeah, they found it. They have definitely found it in that American League East, those Boston Red Sox. For the second straight week, I'm going with the pitcher. This time,
pitchers over there.
That's right. This time, Noah Syndergaard gets my nod. He defeated the Dodgers Wednesday night in what was my showcase series from last week's episode. From the mound, Syndergaard went 8 innings. He gave up 2 runs on 6 hits. Both of those runs came on home runs in the 3rd and 4th innings. He struck out 6 batters. But this is what he did. This is where he did his damage, at the plate. 2 for 4, 2 home runs, drove in all 4 of the Mets' runs in a Dodgers loss versus the Mets. So Noah Syndergaard gets my player of the week.
Fantasy league owners, I hope you had him starting that night.
That's right. All right, we're getting ready to go on our first break. When we come back, we'll discuss our power rankings. When we come back here on hashtag Brothers of Baseball on the Big Game Christian Sports Network.
Hi, this is Lisa with Check Into Cash. We give you more money for your title and guarantee the lowest title pawn rate anywhere. Visit checkintocash.com and get a quick estimate on your vehicle. Save more and get more at Check Into Cash. Loyal customers have trusted us for 20 years for extra cash, and you can too. Restrictions apply. Bring proof of lower rate on similar title pawn. Visit checkintocash.com for the store nearest you.
Get on down, Check Into Cash. Ka-ching.
All right, baseball fans, we welcome you back to the hashtag Brothers of Baseball here on the official broadcast station of the Dallas Charge Pro Fast Pitch Softball on the Big Game Christian Sports Network. This edition of the Brothers of Baseball is being brought to you by PureFlix. Enjoy faith and family movies, TV shows, and educational programs anytime, anywhere for only $7.99 per month. Sign up for your 30-day free trial by going to bgcsports.net or on the BGC Sports app and click on the PureFlix banner and start your trial today. All right, it is time to start the top of the 4th inning, or the second part of our show. Willie Epting Jr., Donny Epting, your MCs on the microphones for this episode of the Brothers of Baseball. And it is that time of our show when we go through our power rankings. We've got the power. So this is how it goes, people. Willie will give his top 5 for the American League. Donnie will come back with his top 5 for the National League. Then we will discuss those who didn't quite make the list or those who are just a bit outside. And then we'll go through our top 5 in the majors. So with all that being said, Willie Epting Jr., let's get your top 5 from the American League, please.
Bottoms up. Welcome back. Number 5, Texas Rangers. Number 4, your American League West brethren, Seattle Mariners. Number 3, American League East, Baltimore Orioles. Number 2, your American League East brethren, Baltimore, Boston Red Sox. And continuing to be in the top spot, the top of the heap of the American League in my power rankings, the Southside Boys from the second city, as Donnie calls it, the Chicago White Sox.
Google it. They've got second city everything in regards to Chicago for some reason.
Maybe we should get some T-shirts that say that.
Yeah, I like that. Okay. All right, so I'll go through my... Stop laughing. I'll go through my top 5 in the un-American League or the National League. By the way, this just in, the pitchers still bat in the National League, by the way.
He still has a rant about that, fellas.
Okay.
And ladies.
Okay. I'll move on. Number 5. I'm going with the Pittsburgh Pirates. They picked up 2 of 3 in a big series last weekend in St. Louis. That was huge for Pittsburgh. So they check in at number 5. Number 4, their Keystone State rivals, the fighting Philadelphia Phillies. Rest in peace, Harry Kalas. He was one of the best. If you don't know who Harry Kalas was, man, awesome broadcaster. he would say Mickey Morandini's at the plate. The Philadelphia Phillies, they're continuing to overachieve. They're hanging in that race for the second spot, so to speak, in the National League East. Number 3, going to go with the Washington Nationals. That lethal offense that they are carrying right now. Daniel Murphy comes over from the New York Mets. He was poached from the New York Mets. Daniel Murphy is batting .400. Yeah, .400 right now.
Yeah.
We'll see how that goes, but hey, .400 is .400. And, of course, Bryce Harper is 5th in the National League with 10 home runs. Willie, did you have a thought?
No, I was just going to say, batting .400, that hasn't happened. I can't even remember the last time it happened, but the closest person to do that was George Brett back in 1980, I believe it was.
Yeah, what did he finish the season at? 390.
390.
Yeah. All right. Number 2, the Metropolitans from New York. And this thing is kind of flopping back and forth between Washington and New York. I guess it just kind of depends on who's leading the East. And number 1, without a doubt, the Chicago Cubs. They're still winning baseball games. They still play at Wrigley Field. They still have the ivy on the wall. And Take Me Out to the Ball Game is the best song ever. So, Pirates, Phillies, Nats, Mets, Cubs. Willie, let's swing over to the American League, and please tell the folks who's just a bit outside.
The Cleveland Indians and the American League East Division, defending champion, Toronto Blue Jays. Toronto has won 6 of their last 10. They have a poor record at home. They're only 9-10 at the Rogers Center. They've got to step that up. However, the Cleveland Indians also have won 6 of their last 10. They're sitting 5 out from Chicago, even though it's still only the end of May, or the middle of May, rather. I don't foresee them coming anywhere near catching Chicago.
But but here's what's funny about the AL Central here coming into the weekend. The top 2 teams are the 2 teams that you could very well have seen be in the middle of the division. The 2 teams that are in the middle of the division, we thought would be at the top of the division. The Royals and Tigers. It's just crazy. It's crazy how that's working out.
And the team that's at the bottom is the team that I picked to get one of the wild card spots.
Well, we'll let you continue to beat yourself up over that, and I'm kind of enjoying it. Just to let the secret out the bag.
Did we have some sort of wager on this that I didn't know about? You seem too happy about that.
Sometimes the little brother still wants to feel like he's better than the big brother in something. And seeing that I'm 1-32 against you in driveway hoops, I guess prognostication is going to be my way to get this done before I bite the big one.
Right.
Anyway.
Keep on wishing and hoping.
Okay. All right, so just a bit outside. Yeah, you've got some teams, man, that could very well be in the top 5 of each league. The AL West, we've said this week in and week out, it seems like there's a different leader every week.
Seattle's held it down for the last couple of weeks, though.
Yeah, I was going to say the last week to 10 days, they've held it together. But it's good to see that you have 2 Western Division teams in your top 5. I didn't really see that happening, but hey, maybe it's starting to level out some in that division.
I'll tell you something that's even funnier, if I may, real quick.
Go ahead.
I went ahead and did my top 5 for the National League, or as you call it, the Un-American League. Let me just run through those real quick if I can. Miami at 5, Philly at 4, Washington at 3, New York at 2, and Chicago at 1. So I have 4 of the 5 National League East teams in my power rankings this week.
Wow. Yeah, I've got 3. And let me go ahead and tell you who I have just a bit outside. Cardinals, Marlins, the other NL East team that's above 500 coming into the weekend. And then the Dodgers and Giants, they're kind of like the AL West where they're passing the lead back and forth. But at least in the American League West, the teams are a little bit more than 500 or above 500 than the NL West teams. I mean, they're hovering right around average or mediocre or whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
The Dodgers and Giants could both very well be near quarter pole disappointments so far in the Major League season.
You know what's funny about that is that I actually have the Cardinals, the Dodgers, and the Giants. I also had Pittsburgh in there, but what's also funny about the Dodgers and the Giants is that this time last week there was no team in the National League West that had a better than 500 record.
Right.
And this week they both do. So that's the only reason why I put them in there, both of them.
Right. I mean, but they're kind of one and the same right now. Just average. They're really just average. All right. Let's swing over to the top 5 that we have in the majors. Willie, what you got?
Coming in at number 5, the Washington Nationals. Number 4, the Baltimore Orioles. Number 3, the New York Mets. Number 2, the Boston Red Sox. Number 1, the Chicago Cubs. And I'm telling you right now, man, I just looked at this, just noticed this just now. I did not do this on purpose, but my 5 through 2 are all along the I-95 from south to north.
Did you really? Okay. All right. You really brought geography in this, man?
Hey, man, I did.
This guy.
We need to know these things, man, whenever In the Zone takes these trips that we're going to take.
Okay. I'll give you that. And more coming about that, hopefully sooner rather than later.
Yes.
All right. So my top 5 goes as follows. Seattle Mariners. They are putting together a nice season very, very quietly. Shh. The Mariners are actually good. Then I have, and also with the Mariners, Robinson Cano. I mean, right now, if you had to pick a most valuable player in the American League, he's it.
He's right there.
He's got to be it. Some might argue with another player who I hope you don't mention later on in the show, Willie, Mark Trumbo of the Baltimore Orioles.
Well, since you just told me his name, I won't mention his name.
Good. All right. Number 4, I have the Boston Red Sox. Number 3, the aforementioned Baltimore Orioles. Number 2, well, 2 and 1, both Chicago teams. 2 is the White Sox, 1's the Cubs. The White Sox, I want to kind of throw a note in on them. Outside of last weekend's sweep versus Minnesota, they have lost 2 of their last 3 series coming into this weekend series they play at the Boogie Down in the Bronx against the Yankees. Those 2 series were at Boston and at the Texas Rangers, where one of those games, I think Texas knocked the cover off the ball repeatedly.
Yeah.
All right, so Mariners, Red Sox, Orioles, White Sox, Cubs would be Donnie's top 5 in the majors. All right, Willie, we had an incident Monday night in a game between the Nationals and the Tigers. We're going to let you take the floor and discuss what happened in that particular situation with one of our star players in the game.
Bryce Harper stepped to the stage, and last year's National League Most Valuable Player definitely was in the running again. This year so far, you have struggled a little bit of late. But in that game against the Tigers, with your team coming off of a sweep at the hands of the Chicago Cubs, you argued with the umpire, and you got yourself tossed out of the game in the 9th inning, while the game was still hanging in the balance. Now, your team did come back to win, and it was a much-needed win for them for you guys, because, like I said, you were coming off that 3-game sweep, and it was testy all throughout, very emotional. You come back out on the field to celebrate with your teammates, but before you do, you have a couple of choice words for the umpire that threw you out. With all the technology these days, you have to be better than that. Now, I'm hearing a lot of different things about Bryce Harper, the kind of kid that he is, the kind of player that he is, the kind of player that he is in the locker room. May not be that well liked, very brash. very standoffish at times. But you have to be better than that. Your team needs you. The game was hanging in the balance. I understand that you were upset. But you even took it as far as to say that you thought that the refs should have been fined. I mean, where's your remorse? That's not how – I know you're the best player on that team. But, man, your teammates are looking at you, as the best player, and you have to behave that way on and off the field. So, hopefully for you and your team, you won't go into a free-for-all like you did last year. But one big thing or one key thing that is different this year than last year, Dusty Baker, he ain't going to put up with it.
Not at all. Not at all. I mean, Dusty is as old school as they come, man.
Exactly. And that's what he needs is old school. Johnny Dusty Baker.
Man, why you going to call out his whole government name on the air like that, man?
Because, man, I have so much respect for that man, really.
I mean, but he might have warrants or something, bro. You just got him in trouble.
Well, I would hope the Nationals did a background check before they hired him.
did their due diligence, right?
Yeah, exactly. And wasn't he with the MLB Network before he went back to managing?
He was with ESPN.
ESPN. Well, they might not have done a background check.
You know what? We're gonna move on. We're not gonna talk about the worldwide leader like that. But no, seriously. Yeah, Bryce Harper, you're one of the stars in the game right now. You've been on this campaign to make baseball fun again. But you have to have respect for your teammates. You have to have respect for the officials, the umpires. You have to respect the game. All facets of the game. So there was a punishment that came down for him, a 1-game suspension, which, of course, he's appealing because baseball, that's what they do. You get suspended, you get to appeal, and you get to play. But hopefully for Bryce, he learns his lesson. And like I mentioned, having a guy like Dusty Baker, old school, who's not going to take that stuff, hopefully Dusty gets in his ear and lets him know, hey, you got to have more respect for the game of baseball than what you do and what you did, for what you did.
Not only does Dusty need to get in his ear, he needs to get in his... Oh, never mind.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Old school.
Didn't you, Johnny Dusty, man, you call that dude whole name out, man. I don't know what to say about you right now. I don't think I know who you are. Let's piggyback on something here real quick with the White Sox. We both mentioned them in our top 5. Chris Sale is now 8-0 after a Friday night victory versus the Yankees. 8-0. I mean, I think his ERA is like .00000 with the line over it.
that means the zero goes on forever.
Right. Infinity. Hey, but I mean, I mentioned Robinson Cano as AL MVP if the season was over. Chris Sale would get a lot of votes in that too now. I mean, for what he's doing this year, absolutely filthy. I mean, he's throwing junk and those dudes are swinging at it.
Yeah, it's like he's pitching to nobody. There's nobody at the plate. He's just throwing strikes.
Right. All right. Excuse me. So, yeah. Also, with the power rankings that we mentioned, too, we talked about the AL West and how each team seems to, I don't know, we don't know who wants to be in first place from week to week. A team that's been very disappointing so far, too, is the LA Angels of Anaheim. Mike Trout deserves better. He deserves a whole lot better, man. He's kind of like Bryce Harper, likes to go out there and have fun and everything. But for what their team and that organization is giving him right now, he deserves some respect. We talked about respect with Bryce Harper, having respect for the game. Mike Trout can't do it by himself. I don't know what's going to happen out in Anaheim. I know Mike Scioscia's been there forever and ever. But it might be time to make some changes out there. What do you think, Willie?
Yeah, they have grossly underachieved. And I think it started a couple years ago when they were right there, and they had one of the better pitching staffs in the game.
Yeah,
with Weaver, I forgot the pitcher they got from Texas.
CJ Wilson.
CJ Wilson, and that was a huge signing. I think with them, I mean, they signed Albert Pujols to that deal. Then they signed for Josh, or they got Josh Hamilton from the Rangers, and they're still paying Josh Hamilton now, and he's back with the Rangers.
Right.
So they're kind of in a salary. Well, there's no salary cap in baseball, but they're in a salary disarray.
Right. All right. So Willie, let's take care of segment 2 here. We'll move on to segment 3, or the top of the 7. We'll do all that and more when we come back here on the hashtag Brothers of Baseball on the Big Game Christian Sports Network after this timeout.
It's not a team without T-shirts.
Custom T-shirts from Custom Ink are the easy way to connect any group. Our online design lab makes it simple to create a shirt design that your group will love. Or you can easily upload your own logo. Whether you need one shirt or thousands, Custom Ink can print any size order. And we know you can't wait for your new T-shirts. That's why we offer free shipping, and on-time delivery is guaranteed. Get a free price quote today at customink.com.
Fans, welcome back to the hashtag Brothers of Baseball here on the official broadcast home of the Dallas Charge Pro Fast Pitch Softball on the Big Game Christian Sports Network. This edition of the Brothers of Baseball is being brought to you by PureFlix. Enjoy faith and family movies, TV shows, and educational programs anytime, anywhere for only $7.99 per month. Sign up for your 30-day free trial by going to bgcsports.net or on the BGC Sports app and click on the PureFlix banner and start your trial today. All right, we're winding down here. It's time for our last segment here on the hashtag Brothers of Baseball for this week. And we want to talk about some players who have been pleasant surprises so far. Willie, what do you have, or who do you have as your biggest surprise to date in the Major League Baseball season?
Well, why not Travis Story?
What's the story?
Exactly. How about Big Papi, David Ortiz, hitting .319? He even has a stolen base on his resume for this year in his last season in the Major League Baseball. However, I am going to go with my main man, Manny Machado. The Orioles slugger got out to a very strong start, very hot with the Baltimore Orioles as he and his mates began the season 7-0. Small cool down, but he's back in the case, or back making a case rather, for AL MVP. He also has an opportunity to make a run at the Triple Crown. Get these numbers. Manny Machado hitting .360. That's good for second in the American League. He's also hit 10 home runs. That is second. And I'm sorry, he's actually fourth in the American League in home runs with 10. That's only 2 off the pace. Leading right there is Robbie Cano, who you mentioned just a few moments ago. But here are some ridiculous numbers right here for Machado. OPS 1107.
Wow.
Slugging percentage 691. Oh, by the way, those both of those numbers, they lead the American League.
Manny Machado, very talented player. He's had a bit of an attitude problem at times. And look, the Orioles are playing well despite Adam Jones' slow start. And for some reason, I liken Adam Jones to Andrew McCutchen of the Pirates. You know, we were doing disappointments. Those two will probably be at the top of my list this year because they both struggled. But anyway, back to Machado, along with Trumbo, as I mentioned earlier, and Chris Crush Davis. Man, they have put together some great offensive numbers up there in Baltimore so far this year. All right, I got a player from the St. Louis Cardinals playing shortstop And I'm going to spell his name first, and then I'll say it second. First name is Aledmys, and it is pronounced Uledmi Diaz. Let me tell you about Mr. Diaz's numbers so far this year. He's third in the National League in batting. He has 12 doubles, which is tied for fourth in the National League. And right now, he's a major reason why the Cardinals are above 500. And they are barely above 500. As I mentioned earlier, the Pirates took 2 of 3 from them last weekend. But St. Louis did go out to Anaheim and got a big series win against the Angels. But Mr. Aledmys Diaz is keeping the Cardinals in the air, so to speak. Birds in the air, get it? Anyway,
that's pretty good.
Yeah, thank you. In the National League Central, as those teams are pretty much jockeying for who's going to finish second to the Cubs, it seems like right now. All right, Willie, let's put on the glasses and go deep into the crystal baseball and look ahead to next week. Big series coming up in the next week. Tell us which one that you're keeping your eye on.
It's too many of them, man.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's too many of them. I'm going to go first off with the Marlins and Philadelphia.
Well, you took mine.
Well, okay. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll let you have that one, and I'll go to one of my other ones. How about that?
Nah, you can go with your Marlins Phillies. I got to.
Well, okay. Well, I mean, just the fact that they are where they are in the standings. As I mentioned previously in the show, they are both in my top 5 in the power rankings in the National League. The pitching probables are not quite set yet, so we don't know who will be throwing. But the Marlins are coming to the city of brotherly love on the heels of a 3-game set that's going on during the weekend. So, we're going to find out a lot about the Marlins here in the next 7 to 8 days or so. And I'm, for one, am looking forward to see what Mr. Giancarlo Stanton is going to do when his team is really right in the thick of things, and now they have attention upon them. So, really looking forward to that. And that baseball park or that ballpark in Philly, the bank, Citizens Bank Park, launching pad.
Yeah, I agree. I had Marlins Phillies just because of the fact that we're trying to see who can stay near the Nats and Mets. Try to say that 3 times fast in the NL East. But check this out. While that series is going on, the Nationals and Mets will play 3 games against each other Tuesday through Thursday, and these 3 games will be in Queens at the Big Credit Card. At Citi Field. So New York is going to send the aforementioned Noah Syndergaard to the mound on Tuesday, and beware because he may get a crack at Max Scherzer. It depends on what the Nationals do this weekend. They are in a 4-game series in 3 days against the Marlins, as Willie mentioned. We're going to find out a lot about the Marlins over the next few days here. Marlins Nationals over the weekend, Marlins at Phillies next week, and at that same time, the other 2 threats in the National League East, the Nats and Mets, will go at it. I mean, you've got star power everywhere in that series. Harper, Murphy comes back to Citi Field, so it'll be a sight to see what type of reception he'll get from the fans in Queens. I mean, look, it's not Daniel Murphy's fault the team chose not to re-sign him, so I hope they don't boo him until he starts to beat them. He gets a few base knocks off of him, then you boo him. But no, his first time back at Citi Field, you definitely want to celebrate his accomplishments with the Mets, especially what he did in the playoff series the playoff season, the postseason last year, most notably in the National League Championship Series.
They're gonna boo him. Come on now.
Well, it is New York, huh?
Yeah, it's Queens.
Oh boy. All right,
they have a lot of common parts.
This guy. Yeah, you seeking meager accommodations too, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, let's take a peek into next week. Some of the other series is going on since Willie took my National League series. Thought you were the American League guy. Remember, I'm un-American.
Well, I actually have an American League series, by the way. So
no, okay, no, go ahead. What you got?
Nah, I like to see what's going on in Camden Yards, Oriole Park, Baltimore, Maryland.
Yeah,
where the Mariners will be making a trek across the country.
Yeah,
I think it's like a 3,500-mile flight. So, and both teams are currently in first place going into this weekend's games. That's a 3-game set. Again, the pitching probables have not been set yet, but two of the more popular names that we both have mentioned in this show in regards to being favorites for Player of the Year or MVP, Robbie Cano, who actually has won an MVP already, and Machado. Hopefully his attitude will not precede itself for too much longer, and he can help his team get over the hump.
Yeah, with the Mariners, well, they're playing this weekend at home against the Angels. There is an off day Monday, so that'll give them time to kind of rest when they make that flight after Sunday afternoon's game against the Angels. But then, yeah, that is an important 3-game set here in this early part of the season, especially with these cross-division matchups. So much can be on the line, such as home field, seeding, and things like that. And these series where the West Division meets the East Division, they don't play as much as, of course, as teams who are in the same divisions. What do they meet 19 times a year or something like that, Willie? So these games are very important when they do get the chance to play them.
Hey, how about this one out of the National League? Chicago Cubs by the Bay to take on the Giants.
And if the Giants are going to get hot, this will be a good series to try and do so. That'll be a series taking place next weekend. That'll be a Friday through Sunday series out on the left coast. There was another series that I kind of want to touch on briefly, too, starting next week. Excuse me. Red Sox and Royals.
I almost picked that one.
Yeah. Tuesday's matchup, you've got Mr. Price going for Boston against Mr. Kennedy from the Royals. And Kennedy didn't look too well in his last start against the Yankees. So we'll see how he looks next week against the Red Sox.
Yeah, and Price, for him, I mean, he's striking out batters as he normally does. I think he's 8-1. I think he won on Friday night. He still has a pretty high ERA. I think it may be hovering somewhere just under 7. So hopefully for him and the rest of the Bo Sox, they can get that under control, and he can get back to being the pitcher that we all know him to be.
Well, I mean, and he's 5-1.
Did I say 8-1?
Yeah, he's 5-1, which is with the ERA that he has, it just doesn't seem to match up.
Well, that's because he's getting a ton of run support.
Right. I was just about to say they're hitting for him, which, hey, as a pitcher, yeah, you don't like giving up a lot of runs, but when you get a lot of runs, that kind of offsets things. So that makes your day feel a little better when you are getting that run support. All right, so, yeah, we have quite a few things to look forward to next week, so definitely stay tuned to us and hear us on next week's show to kind of recap some of the things that went on during the early part of the week. Also, for all of the updates, we mentioned our Twitter handle earlier, but please, please, please follow us at ITZ Sports Show on Twitter, and that's where we do have a lot of dialogue and a lot of conversation going on when it comes to the world of baseball. All right, Willie, we've got about 2 minutes left. Let's get this quick nugget in before we wrap up. Jose Reyes, he has been handed a suspension in a domestic violence case. And Reyes will be on suspension until the end of May. He'll be eligible for extended spring training starting June 1st. He's with the Rockies right now. There are reports that are out there that's saying, hey, the Rockies probably really don't want to bring him back. So we'll see, especially with the emergence of Travis Story. We'll see if the Rockies make a move with Reyes, send him to another team or outright release him. And we'll see what happens with Mr. Reyes following this suspension. All right, Willie, about 80 seconds. Let's get your final thoughts in, sir.
Yeah, I'm just going to piggyback on the whole Reyes situation. You know, the domestic violence incident, not only just in baseball, but, you know, in all of the other worlds, all of the other sports as well. You know, this is not the time. It's never really been a time for it, but, you know, everybody's really giving it the one eye and shaking their head at it. You know, you just don't want to put yourself in a position to where you can get caught up in something ridiculous like that. And now you're at a point to where your livelihood is going to be at stake. You don't know if your employer is going to bring you back. He is a very talented ball player. So hopefully for him and his family, he has gotten himself straight and can earn another opportunity to do what he loves to do, which is play baseball.
Yeah, he's a one-time MVP himself, right? 2007, if I'm not mistaken.
When he was with the
Mets. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And since then, man, you know, since I would say really around 2010, his career has just kind of gone in a different direction. All right, so my final thought, we're coming up on one of the landmarks in the baseball season, Memorial Day. And this is when things will really start to get interesting. We'll start talking about the All-Star game and votes and things like that. As basketball starts to wind down, baseball will start to heat up. So just make sure you're keeping in tune with our show. Willie, let's go ahead and wrap this up, man. We appreciate your knowledge and everything. And we'll do it again next week when we talk to you again on the Brothers of Baseball show here on the Big Game Christian Sports Network. Stay tuned for our man, Gordon Jackson. And we'll talk to you again real soon.